Hey there! Today I want to talk a little bit about homework success. So for those of you parents who have school-age kids who are already coming home with homework, I want to talk about 5 tips that I think are important to keep at the forefront of our minds as we enter the school year and homework season. Tip number 1, creating a space at home that's designated for homework. And I don't mean a place that's specifically for homework, but a consistent place that they can know when I sit here, when I open my books in my backpack, that I'm ready to do work. So a comfortable space that's conducive to getting homework done and productivity. Whether that's a desk in their room or a space in their room or a kitchen table or another designated space in the main living area, it's a space that you want kids to be able to associate with productivity. And the more consistent, the better. I know for my kids, it's a little bit different based on their ages and how kind of internally motivated they are to get homework done. My daughter can go to her room and get the work done that she needs to because she's self-motivated, where my son is a little bit better when he's sitting in the main part of the house at the kitchen table, where we can kind of monitor and motivate and encourage him, redirect him when necessary. So the one thing I want to say about the homework space also is that if at all possible, keep it minimized with distractions, meaning that if it's in the main part of the house, can you shut down the TV for homework time? Can you minimize the noise? And if so, can their devices be elsewhere while they're getting their homework done? One technique that we want to teach our kids is the concept of being one mindful, where they're able to focus their attention on one specific task to completion or for a designated and sustained amount of time. Now that's something that even adults struggle with, so you want to be sure that we're teaching our kids to be able to sustain their attention and get something done in the amount of time that it takes to get done. We live in a world where there's lots of distraction and there's lots of stimulation. So this is something that's really important that we teach our kids right away. Number 2, that we help them create a time where they get homework done. So a designated time for homework. A lot of kids have activities after school, and if so, that's great because they have a built-in brain break where they get to be physical and reset before going home and getting homework done, whereas some kids have the chance to go home and wait a bit before their activities start. In that case, I think it's also important for them to have some kind of brain break or downtime to get ready for homework. Sometimes it's too much for them to just go home and step right into homework time. I don't recommend waiting until the end of the day where kids are tired, sometimes grumpy, sometimes emotional. It's kind of a setup for either a power struggle or a meltdown of some sort. So you want to prevent that as much as possible. Tip number 3, help your kids stay organized. One of the benefits of staying organized is that you teach them to prioritize. So a lot of schools provide kids with planners or some type of organization tool where they can write out the homework that they have for that day. You can also use a whiteboard at home or something else that you have in their designated homework space that allows them to prioritize what needs to get done, meaning what's due tomorrow, what's due next week, and what am I going to work on tonight. Now, once they complete a task or an assignment, have them physically scratch out or put a check mark by that thing that they wrote down in their planner or whiteboard. What that does is offers a dopamine boost, which is the neurotransmitter that's responsible for motivation. So when that happens, the kid is more likely to feel motivated to continue, energized and feeling positive about the work that they just accomplished. So that's something that we want to have happen. Tip number 4, we want to motivate and monitor, but we want to avoid micromanaging or doing the work for them. And I know that's a pretty obvious thing, but I can tell you it's a fine line going from motivating and monitoring into doing the work for them and micromanaging. So make sure that you're encouraging, but also allowing and working with the kid, but also allowing them to struggle with the problem, to really think about a problem before you step in and give them an answer. Now, a lot of schools or school districts have portals that allow you to check on your kids' grades, check on their assignments, and that's a great way to hold them accountable and to make sure there aren't things falling through the cracks. But you also want to avoid micromanaging that. You want your kid to learn an internal sense of responsibility and let them have some failures. Let them experience what it feels like to have to approach a teacher and talk about, how do I get my grade up? How do I turn in this assignment that's missing? How do I get some extra credit? You want your kid to be able to learn that skill. The fifth and final tip is to be an example. So going back to that notion of one mindfulness, where we can sustain our attention for an extended period of time, do you demonstrate that at your home? And I don't mean being able to watch a Netflix show for the whole time, or for zoning out on social media. I mean, are you reading a book? Are they seeing you work on a project? Are they seeing you work on some activity, or maybe doing the bills? Are they seeing you demonstrate the behavior of focusing your attention on something for an extended period of time? So be the example. They're much more likely to follow that behavior if they see you doing it. So that's it for today. Thanks for joining. I'm Marcella with Flourish Counseling and Coaching, and I'll see you next time.